Yo, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Monkey Wrench, and I'm Monkey Mike. I'm your host of this fancy little show. It's not so fancy. And what I want to do tonight is something a little different than I've been doing with other videos. I want to give you an overview of what's happening here so you can understand why I'm taking my time and I'm not just gung-ho going into this thing super duper quick like. So right now, I'm trying to decide if and how I want to go about lowering the engine. Now this is why, because with the intake on, you see, we're fairly level on the hood railing there. Look how much that thing sticks out. I'm not sure about you guys, but I think that is absolutely ridiculous. It's way too high up. Even if we were to change the style of the intake, no matter what, it's going to end up sticking up somewhere in this region right here. So the way that I have this pitch stop mount set, if I can find a way to get that trans to lower, there is quite a bit of room, as you can see right here. If we can get back to this notch right here, I'm pretty certain we can get the engine down almost 2 inches in the front. Lowering this engine 2 inches is very crucial when you think about the orientation of how everything sits. It's not just that the engine's going to go down, but it's going to go down on an angle, making it exponential in the front. So the littlest movement there in the back can really be crucial to getting a lower center of gravity, as well as not having the stupid hood or engine sticking 3/4 out of the engine bay. That's just terrible. So let's get into the car here. And I do have it supported by jack stands. No, I don't have it supported by the lift. This probably isn't the greatest idea, but I'm gonna mostly shove you into underneath the car, and I'm just gonna try to lay on the outside here and be as safe as I possibly can, which, if you know me, is not very safe at all. Let me get the light turned on, and we'll get under there and we'll just kind of inspect what's happening with the lower part of the transmission, engine, and where it sits on the cross member. All right, so journey with me underneath the car here. And as you can see, there we go. As you can see, there's really just not a whole lot of room to mess with, yet at the same time there is. So if I shave the underneath of that plate, I can make it to where we could actually get lower onto the steering rack. The issue, more or less, is the front side of the steering rack facing most forward to the engine, or the engine bay, so the front of the car. That's actually where most of this is getting hung up on, is I'm not trying to remove all of that steering rack, or the steering rack support, however you want to describe it. So let's go to the other side, or we can just kind of even sit here and really just discuss what's happening. That engine can come down quite a bit. The oil pan is sitting up here. We can get it, somewhere down in this region in here. So, that's a couple inches that it could move. Now, one way that we could solve getting the engine to come down slightly is we could actually lift the back of the transmission. Let's see if I can show you guys where the transmission mount. Now you can see it back there. Let's see. That was loud. All right, there we go. You see that right there? All right, so if I were to take that and actually remove some of the metal from that, the back side of the transmission would go up. Now, if the transmission goes up, obviously the front of the motor inflection would come down slightly, as it would pivot on this point right here. So basically that would allow us to also utilize coming back to this notch. Really, that's the goal, is to try to get it to go back on that notch right there. Now, if I could do that just by taking some metal off of the adapter plate and allowing it to snug up on the rack, that would be ideal. I got to make sure that I don't remove so much that I'd like to not take. Hold on. I'm really sorry. I'm actually kind of sick, and so I'm trying not to just drip a bunch of nasty. It's actually not nasty. It's just clear fluid coming out of my nose. Anyway, but yeah, I'm feeling under the weather, so I'm sorry if I sniff or something every now and then. I promise it's not the fun stuff. It's not the powder. Anyway, But yeah, we really need to focus right now on trying to get the engine to come down. That's something I know the Boosted Boys and everybody that basically has done any of the case swaps, they all have that same issue. Now for them, they've already spaced out the subframe, which would raise the car up. We don't want to do that anymore. Okay, the Forester is already done like that. So keep that in mind, thinking about what this would be like going into a regular like WRX or something of that nature. Another thing that we need to keep in mind is, so we have the lower oil pan bolts, which when we cut off that piece of the cross member, I don't know if you noticed, but there is some power steering lines that are there that go to that steering rack. And I accidentally, in the middle of cutting it and beating it with a hammer, trying to get the pieces to... All right, so gross. Yeah. Anyway, this is the reality of life, is some people get sick and stuff. Hold on. You can see this will just solve the whole entire thing, right? No? Yeah, it was worth a shot. All right, so things that we need to consider, though, are those power steering lines that are at the bottom there. I really don't want to cut the lower bolts off of the oil pan if they become a clearance issue, and I can pretty much dub them to not be in the way. Then yeah, we can cut them off. I like there being something on the bottom of the motor to push. You get what I mean? To create that extra support being underneath on the plate right there. So, you know, we don't just have it hanging off the front or the sides of the transmission. Personally, I think it's pretty crucial. It'd be different if we just had to remove one, like for the Bill Hinchard kit for the TH400. That's not a big deal. I don't mind just cutting off one of them. Cutting off both, I don't know about all that. Let me see if I can get you a better angle from. So here we are underneath the car. This is what I was talking about, that there's some stuff we need to make sure that we don't smack on there. And you can see the bottom of the plate. It's very close to the steering rack. But as we come down, there's a bunch of stuff that's in that little cavity right there. I just want to make sure that those lower bolts don't actually come down and obstruct anything. But it looks to me like we have plenty of room, because as I said before, lowering in the back is going to be exponential to the front, mainly because it's angled. So I think if we just pull some of the metal out of the bottom of that plate right there, hopefully it won't interfere too badly with anything in general. I mean, I don't really know what else that we would have an issue with. Yeah, right now that's kind of it, is I'm just kind of contemplating in my head, because once I remove that metal, I can't take it back. I really don't want to have to make another plate again. Those things are expensive. You know, it's a few $100. I'd just rather not do it. And then, you know, I don't even know if we can get the machine shop open again like we did. That was kind of like a one-shot deal. I might actually have to call someone the next time and have it professionally done, even though it was professionally done. But I'm not going to have access to equipment like that again. That was kind of a one-off deal, and I don't think I'm going to get another shot at that. So I'm definitely just taking my time thinking about it, going over in my head what seems to be the best route to take here. And unfortunately, there just is no other version, because I don't want the transmission to come forward. Like, realistically, if it were to come down, it's going to come back a little bit. I'm pretty sure it's going to go back. Yeah, because when it comes up, no, it'll come forward. Yeah, it'll come forward slightly. So realistically, we will have to take off little bits of metal at a time anyway. Because we're trying to keep in mind that, yeah, if it goes down, because when I picked it, well, no, because I changed it, that's right. Because I took the Dremel and I just went straight down on that bracket. So rather than it coming up, I already had it pulled up as much as the bracket would let it, and then I went down into the metal. So yeah, the trans would come forward because it's notched back anyways. So yeah, there's just definitely some things that I need to go through in my head and look at what is the best route for me to do. Obviously, I am going to have to take a little bit of metal off no matter what. I know I am. I could have swore, though, that when I let that thing down last time that it went backwards when it went down. Because I know when it comes up, it pulls out. Smartest thing to do would be pull out, right? Wrong, you never pull out. Never pull out, guys. Oh! I'm lying. Pull out when you need to. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a show of the process of this is real world stuff. To do something right the first time, you really need to think it over and you need to ask yourself a lot of questions. This here is just it's just stupid. That's so stupid. I'm not going to do that. Not at all. There's got to be a way we can get the engine down a significant amount. And the only way that can be done is if that needs to have a little bit of stuff removed. Yeah, because see how it would come down, and down should come forward. When it comes down, I'm pretty sure the inflection, it goes right down onto the deal. See, and another thing I could do as well is instead of having the engine tied onto it, I can just bolt that back onto the plate itself, and we can see why it's hitting when it's coming down. We don't have to have the engine. So I'll likely pull the engine off at least one more time. There is also something else I need to address. If you stayed here for this, then this is what you'll actually get to see on the next installment of this update, is that I need to drill out this side and then run a bolt through there. And I'm probably going to use the Dremel and do a very fancy, actually do a bolt head so that when the bolt goes in there, it won't spin, and then we can just tighten it. It should be pretty easy to do. Stay tuned. That's where I'm at with the build here. I do have some neat ideas about this here, like getting one of the Holley intakes, chopping the front of it off, and then something I learned recently, come on off. God, these things suck to take off. Thing sucks to take off. All right, anyways, apparently these are mirrored, so this is just like the EGR valve on the other side. You can actually take these off and you can flip them around. And what that does is this is most orientated toward the rear, so you can actually have it orientated toward the front, and that would change how the Holley plate would bolt on and where it sits. So it would move it to where it'd either be further this way or it'll be further this way. I also found a company that makes it to where it's center mounted because they put it in an NSX. And center mounted on that would mean that no matter which way that you turned it, it would sit the same, except for these move location. So that could still change. Yeah, it would still change how the plate sits forward, forward or aft. And these are other things that I want to consider because, again, this is being purpose built. It's going to get an STI trans eventually, guys. It's going to get pumped up. There's no way this car is just going to sit with this regular old Forester 5-speed. Do expect in time this to become a legit race car of some sort because it's me and that's what I do. I'm going to break this trans or I'm going to break the diff and we're going to need to swap up to the R180. I'm pretty sure it's an R160. I'm hoping I remember my Subaru numbers right. I got a lot of different manufacturers' vehicles, and so, especially when you go swapping other manufacturers that you don't even have. I don't even own any Hondas, but I got 2 Honda motors, and that's probably going to get Honda swap eventually, too. I'm actually thinking about doing, what I'd like to do is a J-Series and a 350Z trans. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. I think that'll be pretty cool because they do make a J-Series that goes to the Miata trans, but that Miata trans is booty. Like, why would you even do that? That's dumb. I'd rather put, like a Tremec or something in there. I know there's cool options for trans that we can put behind that J-Series. So, That's going to be later, like way later down the road with the Miata stuff. That'll be after I probably blow a few of the 1.6s. Because I like the motor, it's fun. We'll push them a little bit. Maybe we'll build one, like legit build one. And then we'll have to get a 6-speed and do all that. That's another video. Let's talk about that another time. Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all if you stayed this long. Peace.